Hello students, this is Harshit Gupta. Come back to explain the remaining part of is is matter around us pure. So today we will discuss the remaining part of this chapter. So here first topic is change. What is change? How can you define change? So when the initial and final condition of any substance are different, then it is said to be a change. It's mean that suppose that if you have one glass of water and if you will freeze the water into the refrigerator, then the final condition becomes solid. So water freeze in to convert into ice. It's mean that when water convert into ice, then the condition, initial condition and final conditions are different. In the initial condition, water was in the liquid form, and the final condition, it will become solid. So initial and final conditions are different, then it is called a change. ठीक है? You can divide the changes into two types. The first one is physical change and second one is chemical change. What is physical change? Actually, the changes in which only the physical properties of the substance. What are physical properties? Physical properties are those which indicates the physical state of the substance like state, odor, smell. So those properties which does not involve the change in the chemical composition are known as physical changes or physical properties. So color change, color, odor, melting point, these are the physical properties. So the changes in which only the physical properties of the substance get changed and no new substance are formed, then such type of changes are called physical changes. So physical changes, there are many examples of physical changes like melting of ice. Melting of ice. Ice has chemical formula H2O. It is the solid form of H2O. And when it melt to convert into water, then water also has the chemical formula H2O. Means there is no chemical change in this phenomenon, then this type of change is called physical change. Freezing of water is also physical change because this time water freezed into ice and no new substance is formed. Getting salt from seawater, etc. All these are physical changes because there is no new substances formed. While chemical changes, what are chemical changes? The changes in which the composition of and chemical properties of a substance get changed. Means the composition get changed and one or more new substance are formed. Then such changes are called chemical change. Chemical change like burning of carbon. Burning of carbon is a chemical change when carbon burn in the presence of oxygen, then carbon dioxide is formed. Here a new substance is formed from carbon, that is why it is called a chemical change. Burning of magnesium. Magnesium also burn in the presence of oxygen to form magnesium oxide. Two molecules of magnesium oxide. So this change also involved the formation of a new substance from magnesium to magnesium oxide. That is why this change is also is a chemical change. Rusting of iron. Rusting of iron is a chemical change also. Burning of carbon, burning of magnesium, rusting of iron, etc. These are the examples of chemical change because in the chemical change, definitely a new substance will form. Burning of paper is also considered as a chemical change. Burning of paper, newspaper, copy paper. burning of paper is also considered as a chemical change because burning of paper produce carbon dioxide, water vapors, smoke and ash. So there are new substances are formed. That is why it is also known as a chemical change. So I think there is no problem in the change and its type. Now we can differentiate physical and chemical changes also on the some main points on the basis of some main points. For example, the first point is in physical change, the chemical composition of the substance remains same, right? For example, if physical change take place, suppose that water is converted into vapors, then there is no new substances formed. H2O remains H2O. But chemical change always involve the formation of new substance due to which the composition of substance get changed. For example, carbon burn in the presence of oxygen to form CO2. Carbon converted into CO2. New substances form, composition will change. Then such type of changes are called chemical changes. Physical changes are generally reversible. Physical changes are generally reversible. It's mean that if you freeze water to convert it into ice, then you can again melt ice to get water. So these are generally reversible. Reversible means the phenomenon will be done on both sides for in forward direction as well as in backward direction. But chemical changes are generally irreversible. For example, if you will make curd from milk, then it is a chemical change. Curd from milk, then you cannot get back milk from the curd. Similarly, if iron is rusted, then you cannot get back iron from the rust. So these chemical changes are generally irreversible. Once they have once they happen, then you cannot get back the reactant again. Third point, the identity and nature of initial substance remains same. If the chemical composition remains same, then the identity and nature also remains same. But in chemical change, new substances form there, therefore identity and nature of initial substance get changed. And the fourth point is physical changes are temporary changes. These are not permanent changes as they are reversible. If A is converted into B, then B again converted into A. So these are temporary changes, but chemical changes are permanent changes. Once the chemical change take place, then you cannot get back the initial substance again. After the change, the new topic is solution. Solution, what is solution? A solution is a special type of homogeneous mixture composed of two or more substances. Generally, solution composed of two substances. And if you want to make a solution which contain more than two substances, then there is no problem. You can prepare. A solution consists of a solute, one or more, and a solvent. जनरली सॉल्वेंट आपका एक होगा, बट अगर आपने दो से ज्यादा सब्सटेंसेस लिए हैं तो उसमें सॉल्यूट्स ज्यादा हो जाएंगे. ठीक है. Thus you can define the solution as a liquid mixture in which the major component is known as solute. In the solution, the minor component, sorry, the minor component is known as solute, which is present in the small amount, is uniformly distributed within the major component. Major component is known as solvent, then it is called a solution. So in solution, suppose that if you will prepare a solution by adding sugar and water, so you know that you will take sugar in a small amount and water in large amount. So water will become solvent and sugar will become solute. So solute is the minor component, solvent is the major component of the solution. So a liquid mixture in which minor component is uniformly distributed within the major component is called a solution. For example, some examples of solutions are solution of salt and water, solution of sugar and water, etc. So there are many examples of solutions. Solution of salt and water, solution of sugar and water, solution of ethanol and water. These are some examples of solution. Now types of solution. Types of solution. Solutions can be of many types. The first one is aqueous solution. Aqueous solution, a solution in which water is a solvent. Water is a solvent is known as aqueous solution. Suppose that example of salt and water, example of sugar and water. These are the aqueous solution in which water is used as a solvent. Second one type is non-aqueous solution. Non-aqueous means those solution in which water is not a solvent, in which water is not used as a solvent are known as non-aqueous solution. For example, solution of sulfur and carbon dioxide sulfide, sulfur and carbon disulfide. So these are the examples of non-aqueous solution. Third one, true solution. True solutions are those in which solute particles are completely dissolved in solvent and they are not visible. For example, sugar and water. So these are known as sugar solution, salt and water, in which solute are completely dissolved in solvent and you cannot see the solute particle by the naked eyes. Then such type of solutions are known as true solutions. The next one is saturated solutions. Saturated solutions are those solutions. Suppose that if you have to prepare a solution of sugar and water at any given temperature, sugar and water at any given temperature will remain constant. Suppose that if the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius, then it will remain constant. If you have 100 ml water and you have to add sugar at this temperature, then firstly when you will add the sugar, then some amount of sugar will get dissolved. After some time again you will add sugar, that sugar again will dissolve, but a situation will come in which the dissolution of sugar will stop, means the sugar will not dissolve in the solution. Then the formed solution are called saturated solution. You can define such type of solution like this: those solutions in which no more amount of solute can dissolve at given temperature. The maximum amount of solute already is dissolved, then you cannot add more amount of solute. Then such type of solutions are called saturated solution. While in the opposite of saturated solution, those solution in which more amount of solute can dissolve at given temperature are called unsaturated solution. So if you will prepare a solution, if you will prepare a solution with the help of water and sugar, then firstly if you will add sugar, then it will become unsaturated solution. Again you can add sugar, again you can add sugar, but when the maximum amount of solute will dissolve, then the formed solution is called saturated solution. तो रिमेन दिस थिंग इन योर माइंड, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि आप 100 ml में 5 किलो चीनी घोल दो, एक मैक्सिमम अमाउंट ही डिसॉल्व होगी और तब जो सॉल्यूशन बनेगा वो सैचुरेटेड सॉल्यूशन होगा। Next type of solution depending upon the size of solute particles. On the basis of solute particles, solution can be divided into three types. The first one is true solutions. True solutions are those solutions in which the size of solute particles dispersed in the solvent is very small. Then such solutions are called true solution, in which you cannot differentiate between the particles of solute and solvent. You cannot see the particles of solute by naked eyes because the size of solute particles is very small, less than 10 की power minus 7 centimeter. Then such type of solutions are called true solution. For example, solution of sodium chloride in water means salt and water, solution of glucose in water. So these are the examples of true solution. The second type of solution is suspension. What is suspension? Those solution in which the size of solute particles dispersed in the solvent is very large. Means the diameter of the solute particle is greater than 10 to the power minus 4 centimeter. Then such type of solutions are called suspension. For example, the solution of dirt particles in water, sand in water, these are the examples of suspension. So when you will add sand into the water, then the formed solution is known as suspension. And you can see the solute particles of suspension by naked eyes because the size of solute particles is very large in the suspension. And between the suspension and true solution, the third type of solution will come, which are known as colloidal solution. So colloidal solutions are those solutions in which the size of solute particle is greater than those of true solution and less than those of suspension. Means the size of particle is greater than from the true solution and less than from the suspension. Then such type of solutions are known as colloidal solution. The examples of colloidal solutions are glue, milk, solution of starch, solution of proteins in water, solution of albumin in water, egg albumin in water. These are the examples of colloidal solution. So in true solution, the size of solute particles is very small as you can see in this picture. And in the suspension, the size of solute particles is very large in comparison to true solution. Therefore, you can see the particles by the naked eyes. And in colloidal solution, the size of solute particles is greater than that from true solution and less than from the suspension. So examples of these are the examples of colloidal solution. Now types of solution on the basis of state of solute and solvent. So you can also divide the type of solution on the basis of state of solute and solvent. For example, if solute is gas and solvent is liquid, means gas is dissolved in liquid, then such type of colloidal solution are known as foam or froth. The common examples of such solutions are soap leather, soda water, etc. The simple water is also the example of this type of solution because the water contains oxygen gas dissolved in the water. So in the normal water, H2O is used as a solvent while oxygen gas is dissolved in this water, therefore it is also known as foam type of solution. Second type of solution, when solute is gas and solvent is solid, means gas is dissolved in solid, then such type of colloidal solution are called solid foam. The examples of such type of solution are pumice stone, bread, rubber. तो ब्रेड आपने देखी है, उसके अंदर एयर थोड़ी सी फिल्ड होती है। आपने प्यूमाइस स्टोन शायद नहीं देखा हो, लेकिन मैं आपको बताता हूँ, प्यूमाइस स्टोन आप लोगों ने देखा हो। बहुत से लोग उसको एड़ी साफ करने के लिए यूज करते हैं, पत्थर की तरह होता है। तो प्यूमाइस स्टोन, rubber, etc. These are the examples of solid form. Third type of solution in which solute is liquid while solvent is gas, means this time liquid is dissolved in gas. Then such type of solutions are called liquid aerosol. The examples of liquid aerosol are mist, fog, cloud, insecticide spray, etc. तो द बेस्ट एग्जांपल इज फॉग। फॉग में क्या होता है, आपके एयर में वाटर ड्रॉप्स डिस्पर्स्ड होती हैं। तो लिक्विड डिस्पर्स्ड है किसमें, गैस में। देन सच टाइप ऑफ सॉल्यूशंस आर कॉल्ड लिक्विड एरोसॉल्स। Next type of colloidal solution in which solute and solvent both are liquids. Then such type of solution are called emulsion. The examples of emulsion are milk, medicines like cough syrup, cosmetics like shampoo, cream. These are the examples of emulsions. Emulsions can be prepared by adding oil and water. Oil and water means the first and second, both solute and solvent both are liquids. When solute is solid, solute is liquid and solvent is solid, then such type of solution are called gel, like jelly, butter, cheese, boot polish, curd, etc. So you have curd is the best example. You can see curd. The maximum portion of curd is solid and liquid is dispersed in the solid. Next type of solution in which solid is dispersed into gas. And such type of solutions are called aerosol. The example is smoke. In smoke, carbon particles which are solid are dispersed in the air. Dust storm, haze, etc. These are the examples of aerosol. Next type of solution in which solid is dispersed into liquid, means liquid is solvent, solid is solute. So such type of solutions are called sols, like muddy water, gold sol, starch in water, etc., in which solid substance is dissolved in liquid. And next type is solid mixture. These are known as solid sols. For example, alloys. Alloys are the metals which are made up of two or more metals. These are the mixed metals, mixture of metals. So when two or more metals are mixed in any ratio, then alloys are formed. So alloys contains two metals, and metals are definitely in the solid form. That is why these are the mixtures of solid and solid and are known as solid salts. Colored glasses, minerals, etc. So now some properties of colloidal solution. There are some properties of colloidal solution. The first property is Brownian movement. It is very important movement. In 1828, an English botanist Robert Brown, यहाँ N होगा, an English botanist Robert Brown observed that pollen grains suspended in the water execute a continuous zigzag motion. When colloidal solutions are seen with the help of ultra microscope, then the particles of dispersed phase means solute. Dispersed phase means solute. So the particles of solute are continuously execute a zigzag motion due to collision with each other. So colloidal particles are large in size and they collide with each other, due to which they execute a continuous zigzag motion. which is not uniform motion, then this motion on the behalf of the name of Robert Brown, because Robert Brown firstly observed this type of motion. That is why on the behalf of the name of Robert Brown, it is known as Brownian movement. So you can see the Brownian movement like this. If it is the colloidal solution, then colloidal particles are collide with each other and they do an unfortunate movement, zigzag motion movement, which is known as Brownian motion or movement. ठीक है. Next property of colloidal solution is Tyndall effect. What is Tyndall effect? When a beam of light when a beam of light is passed through the true solution means the solution of salt and water, the solution of sugar and water. When you will pass the light beam of light through the true solution, then the path of light remains invisible. You cannot see the path of light on the container if you will take the solution of salt and water glass in a glass, then in a transparent glass, then you cannot see the path of the light in the solution. But when a beam of light is passed through the colloidal solution, then the path of light is visible because colloidal particles are large in size, and due to large in size, they scattered the light. Scattering of light आप लोगों ने आई थिंक पढ़ा होगा. Scattering of light phenomenon. जो स्काई है आपका ब्लू दिखाई देता है, सनसाइन और सनसेट के टाइम पे सन जो है वो और रेड ऑरेंज दिखाई देता है. तो ये सब रीजन है आपके स्कैटरिंग ऑफ लाइट के. तो ये आपने पढ़ा होगा, अगर नहीं पढ़ा हो तो आप मेरे को बता देना, मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन कर दूंगा. Scattering of light and coronal particles are large in size, that is why they scattered the light, and the phenomenon firstly observed by Faraday and later studied in detail by Tyndall and now commonly known as Tyndall effect. So you can simply define the Tyndall effect like this: the phenomenon of brighten the colloidal particles due to scattering of light when they come in the path of light is known as Tyndall effect. This is the simple definition of Tyndall effect. आप सभी लोगों ने ऑब्जर्व भी किया होगा, अगर आपके घर में कोई ऊपर छोटी सी विंडो हो, उससे धूप अंदर आ रही हो, सनलाइट अंदर आ रही हो, तो आपको सनलाइट में डस्ट पार्टिकल नजर आते हैं. ये फिनोमिनन भी टिंडल इफेक्ट है. तो ये पार्टिकल्स क्या करते हैं, लाइट को स्कैटर्ड करते हैं. स्कैटर्ड होने वाली लाइट आपकी आई की रेटिना पे पड़ती है, जिससे आपको पार्टिकल्स दिखाई देने लगते हैं. नॉर्मली आपको नहीं दिखाई देंगे, लेकिन जब सनलाइट पड़ेगी उन पर तब वो स्कैटरिंग करेंगे और दिखाई देने लगेंगे. तो जितने एरिया में सनलाइट आ रही होती है उतने में आपको डस्ट पार्टिकल नजर आते हैं कमरे के अंदर. तो इट इज नोन एज टिंडल इफेक्ट. इट इज नोन एज टिंडल इफेक्ट. ठीक है. You can observe the Tyndall effect like this. It is the light source. When you will pass the light through the colloidal solution, then the particles of colloidal solution are brightened due to scattering of light. It is the scattered light, and when they scattered the light, then the particles are brightened in the solution. This phenomenon is called Tyndall effect. ठीक है. This phenomenon is called Tyndall effect, and they brighten in the shape of a cone. They brighten in the shape of a cone. So the path of light in colloidal solution is observed in the shape of a cone, which is known as Tyndall cone, as the phenomenon is called Tyndall effect. So you can also do this experiment at your home. You have to take a torch, and you can place a black tape or black paper on the surface of torch, on the head of torch, and when you will pass the torch through the distilled water, means true solution, then you cannot see the path of light. But when you will pass the light through the soap solution is also a colloidal solution, then the path of light is visible. This effect will known as Tyndall effect. ठीक है, तो आज के लिए बस इतना ही। इसके बाद नेक्स्ट वीडियो में मैं आपको आगे की चीज़ें डिस्कस करूँगा। तब तक के लिए थैंक यू।